Hey, it's Jeff McNichol down here at Mom's Music, 1900 Melwood Avenue. And I was just thinking, when I was a kid, the magic was at Frankfort Avenue, the Mom's Music at Frankfort Avenue. And I used to beg people to get a ride down there just to hang out with the guys and see all the cool gear. Now that I'm the owner of this store, it's like a dream come true. We're recreating the magic with the vibe that we used to have at the old store. We're carrying all the gear that you're going to possibly want. We're giving you the outstanding service and personal attention that you deserve. Yeah, so we've got the great guitar shop here. We're carrying USA Fender, USA Gibson, Paul Reed Smith, Gretsch, Jackson, Charvel, anything you could possibly want, we're going to have it for you. Mom's is and always will be Louisville's music store.
Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge. I am Mark Jackson and I am your host. The premise of the show is pretty simple. Awesome interviews and awesome music. If you want to contact me, hit me up at metalforgeradio@gmail.com or visit the website metalforgeradio.com. And now let's get this show on the road. Thank you all for tuning into the Metal Forge. I'm your host, Mark Jackson. It's Friday, February 26th, and wow, can't believe February is already pretty much over. This last few months have flown by. Craziness. Anyway, onward and upward. Today, I have Chris Natalini from the awesome fucking thrash band Blood Feast here at the Metal Forge. And before we get into talking with Chris, I'm going to make this really short and really sweet this week because I've got some allergy things going on. I'm trying to conserve my voice, and I've got a long interview with him coming up. So, thank you to the sponsors, Maxwell's House of Music, Mom's Music, Tattoo Charlie's, The Wrestling Steve Show, and Better Days Records. And if you're in the area of Louisville, Kentucky, stop in at 921 Barrett Avenue. Check out the independent metal section where you can get Bat's Ecstasy, Blood Feast's EP, Chopped, Sliced, and Diced, so on and so forth. More. Haunt, Bewitcher, Tyrant. Awesome fucking bands. Check it out. We got CDs, vinyl. We have everything you want. We even got that smooth jazz if you like to get all a little freaky. So this is from the EP, Chopped, Sliced, and Diced. This is Hunted, Stalked, and Slain.
Members of the body of Christ, cut off
All right, metalheads, I'm being joined on the line right now with Chris Natalini from Blood Feast. Chris, how you doing,
Yeah,
brother?
what's going on, man?
Oh, man, just, rocking and rolling February right on through. This was the last interview of February. We're kicking ass right into March, kicking that fucking door
nice.
down. Dude, how has the new year been for you?
The new year, I consider myself one of the lucky ones because I am staying busy, which we can get to later on in the interview. But, Blood Feast is currently recording our next record. So we've been busy. We got things going on. We're definitely not standing still.
Which is a great thing in this day and age. We talked about, with so many bands about the COVID bullshit that's going on where so many bands have released material and haven't got to play live and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely been a bummer that way because we had so much planned in 2020. We had Maryland Death Fest, and then we had that was in May, and then I think we were supposed to do a Rage of Armageddon show, which we do every year. And that took place in New York, but that was like a 3-day festival, and there were all kinds of bands coming in. I don't remember that date, but it was, we had Maryland Death Fest, and then we were supposed to do 6 days in South America, and then we were supposed to go to Germany. The South America was supposed to be in September, then we were going to Germany in November, and it just, as everything just completely, screeching halt.
Oh, yeah.
And we're, and they just announced, I guess, a week ago, that they've pushed Maryland Death Fest back to 2022.
Oh.
So hopefully that will take place because we were really, really looking forward to it. It's a personal bucket list of mine, and I was really excited when we got it originally, and we thought we were going to be able to do it in 2021, but we're keeping our fingers crossed for 2022. So
Definitely.
We're hoping that goes down.
Well, hopefully that goes through. It's got to be something really messed up to be on some of these big shows like that, like Maryland Death Fest, or even on a lower tier for like Psycho Las Vegas, or even some of these Danny Wilmer productions. Some of these shows out there where bands get together, and this is like the one really big show they play a year. If it's being pushed back for 2 years at this point, you got to wonder if some of these bands will even be together again.
Well, man, and that was the one thing. One of the real exciting things about us playing Maryland Death Fest was we were on the same we were on the same day as Violence, and obviously being a huge thrash metal fan, like. Violence was, they're just one of the greatest bands. And so we were looking forward. We were playing on the same stage, the same day. We'd already seen the lineup. We were a couple bands in front of them. So we were really super psyched to play. And then it got passed to 2021 originally. And we were like, well, hopefully Violence will still be able to play. And then when they said a couple weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was, that it was getting pushed to 2022, they were like, we're not sure about Violence now. For what we understand, obviously, if you've seen in the news, they got signed, they got a big deal. And so there's other things that they're going to be able to do. And, there's a ton of bands that we were looking forward to playing with. We don't even know if they'll be able to make it, from overseas or, their home countries. And it's just been this whole thing's just been a complete nightmare. But hopefully it will all kind of come together again.
Definitely. And you kind of hit on something there I wanted to bring up. With Violence, for example, a band straight out of 80s San Francisco, California thrash, right? They kind of disappeared into the 90s and didn't get really back together until here a couple of years ago, which Blood Feast had kind of done the same thing. They were a band, kind of disappeared there for a little bit, and then back in 2007, Adam got the band back together again and started piecing people in over the next 10 to 12 years or so. And you came in the band in 2010.
Yep.
So how did that work out? I mean, were you friends, or did you send in an audition tape? How did that work? Or an audition MP3 at that point?
Here's the thing. So Adam Tranquilli and Tom Lorenzo, Tom being my bass player, and then our current drummer, Adam, they were in a band together. And in that band Without End, where they were all together, they would play Allentown, Pennsylvania a lot. I'm not far from, because I'm from Philly, so I'm not far from Allentown. At that time, I was in a band called Dawn of Correction, and we would play the same festivals in Allentown. At that time, Allentown was a huge, it became a really cool place to go see metal. I don't know what happened. It just kind of exploded on the scene, and bands were coming in. And so what happened was Adam and Tom and Adam had a mutual friend that I had. Her name was Tracy. And she was just a big supporter of the local scene in Allentown. She was like, the person you always go to when you want to pass out flyers or help sell tickets. She was just that person. So in a general conversation, I just happened to say to her, hey, listen, Dawn of Correction was coming to an end at the time. And I'm like, hey, just by chance, if you ever hear any band that needs a singer, let me know. And I don't know, it may have been a few months later. I'll never forget it. As long as I live, I was out at the grocery store, and she texted me and she said, hey, I have 3 questions. Do you have a passport? Do you want to go to Germany? And do you want to audition for Blood Feast? And I was like, yes, yes, and yes. And then she put me in touch with our guitar player at the time, John, and he sent me a list of songs they were currently doing. I learned 3, and then I went to Bayonne, and we rehearsed for a whole weekend. I drove up there on a Friday. We rehearsed Saturday. I stayed overnight, rehearsed Sunday, and then came home. And God, I think within the next week or 2, they were like, hey, do you want the gig? And I'm like, yeah. And then that was, and then I think it was probably April. And then in July was my first gig at Headbangers Open Air in Germany in front of 2,400 people.
Fucking right. That's like a... that's one of those things where it's like, if you were a fan of the band before that, which I'm pretty sure you probably were, because,
of course.
Because I've been a fan of the band since like 2002, when I was just like really super digging into like the underground shit that didn't like, the bands that are not the big 4. Mm-hmm. And just, that's got to be like a dream come true almost, to be singing for this fucking awesome band.
Man, honestly, it really, truly was. I don't actually know if it's hit me yet, like being in the band, 10, 11 years. I think it's only been within the past handful of years that I stopped feeling like the new guy. Because Gary was had such a unique vocal style. And, of course, when I came in, I was trying to emulate what Gary did, because there are hardcore fans out there that did like Gary's style, me being one of them. So I tried to emulate what he did and put a little of myself in. It was nerve-wracking, man. It was nerve-wracking for the first couple of years, because being, obviously being the new singer, because Gary had such a unique voice and a unique style, it was definitely nerve-wracking. And it took me a long time to kind of just find my way, my own way. And then I had a conversation with Adam one time when we started talking about recording new, and he was like, listen, I don't want you to be Gary. I want you to be you, and I want you to do your own thing. And then it just kind of, fell into place. And I mean, even live, I still throw in some Gary things, because there are people out there that prefer Gary other than me, which is fine. It is what it is. I totally get it. I totally understand it. But now that I've been in the band 10, 11 years, I'm comfortable in what I've done and what I bring to the band.
Definitely. And it's also one of those things to note as well for the listeners out there that don't know, is that the last full-length album was Chopping Block Blues in 1989 before you came along.
That's correct.
So they did a split again in 89, but didn't release a new full-length, or actually it doesn't look like any new materials until 2017.
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, there's been a few releases of like demoed stuff or original recordings. But yeah, nothing new and original. And that was a lot of the issue with the former members in Blood Feast. When I joined, we still had Kevin, the original drummer, and John was another guitar player. And Kevin being original, he really kind of wanted to just play the hits. He just kind of wanted to play, which I get. I totally understand. He didn't really want to put the energy into getting new material out there. But Adam Tranquility, like, he had something to prove. It was his name, and people knew who he was, and he wanted to do new stuff. And So when John and Kevin removed themselves from the band, and we just decided to move forward and start recording, and we've literally been recording ever since.
Definitely. Well, I've always been a big proponent of content is king. And the more content you produce, the more you can get exposed to other people. Because if you've got new stuff, you're always evolving. There's these bands, and I think this is the difference between a good national band and a good local band. And that is, the good local band thinks that they're going to get it off of this one album that they've done, you know, and continues to play that or re-record songs from that. And then the good national band to great national band is going to constantly be writing new stuff.
Yeah. And and I'm a big, as me being a fan of music and being a fan of metal, and I get where, a lot of these bands put out new material, then they go on tour and they don't, they barely play anything off the new record, or maybe they play one song. And, with Bloodfeast, we try to mix in everything. Obviously people want to hear the classics, but now that we've kind of built a whole nother chapter of the band, a lot of people do want to hear the newer stuff that, that I was on. But as a fan, I get it. When these bands just don't go out and play the new material, but I like hearing new material. I can't tell you how many metal shows I've been, or even rock shows I've been to, where it's been like a small club or, a B-level band or whatever. And they go, all right, we're going to play this new song. And there's only me and a couple other people yeah. And everybody's like, no, we want to hear, your old classic stuff. And I don't, I understand on the artist side of it, but I don't understand on the fan side. If you're a fan, you want to hear new content, new material.
Oh,
you know what I mean? That's just me.
No, I agree with you 100% on that. There's one thing, the thing that gets me, and I get shot for saying this, but I'm not a big fan of Kiss's later career, but I would really love to hear some of Domino or,
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, bro.
Some of that stuff, that's not first 6 albums.
Right. I listen, I agree with, and it's hard to do when you have a catalog of
150 songs. Yeah.
Yeah. Van Halen the same way, but it's always cool when you see these bands and they throw in a song or two that they haven't played in years, and you can see the crowd difference. I mean, you can see the people who are the true blue fans of that band, and then you see the people who just want to go and see Rock and Roll All Night and Gene Spit Blood, and they want to hear Beth, and and those people are cool too. It's just, as a music fan, for me, I like to watch bands kind of expand and move on, and whether the record's good or not, I like new content. I like when bands go, we're in the middle of recording a new record. I love that, man. I love that, because I go, oh, I can't wait, because I'm a fan of that band.
Well, with being a vocalist, I'm sure you put as much into it as Adam would with the guitar work, that there's these little sweet spots where this lick on the guitar, that's it right there. Bam. That's going to get people going, and you could do that with the vocals too. Absolutely.
Obviously we don't write with parts in mind, or we'll do this, but when it comes together, we go, man, live, that's going to be the tits. You know what I mean? That's going to be that sweet spot that's going to get everybody moving. And sometimes it is. And then sometimes it's something else that you didn't even plan on, and then it just kind of happens. It just kind of evolves into something on its own without even trying.
Absolutely. There's no other experience like it. So what inspires you to write music?
Well, I guess number one is I just love to write. I love when I get inspired. Because, sometimes it is hard to write. And I'm sure any of your listeners that are listening that are musicians, they'll tell you sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard. And I like when a spark goes off and I go, yeah, that's it. And then it just kind of flows out of me. Or if I hear, if Adam and Tom and CJ write something, they write a song, and I go, man, I know the perfect kind of lyrics that are going to fit to that. Excitement, man. To be honest, that's what inspires me. Excitement and passion, because I love to do it. Now, I just love to be excited over writing or hearing a new song.
For sure. Again, it's like a child. You're raising that song.
Yeah. Yep.
So in the writing process here, when you all do get together, like I said, they're up in Bayonne, you're in Pennsylvania. You're not too far away, but there's still a little bit of a distance. So do they all get together? How do you all do this these days?
Well, it's funny because 3 of the guys are from Jersey. Tom, my bass player, is from New York, and then I'm just right outside of Philly. Them guys get together once a week for the most part, and they'll hash out songs, or let's just say for the new album. They've been doing the music, they've been writing the music, and then they'll kind of send me, CJ will record something and he'll send it to me just to kind of keep me abreast. And then when we're ready to go, then I'll come up and I'll put lyrics to it, or me and Adam will maybe work, on something, sometimes over the phone, like we'll have a conversation and we'll talk about it. So yeah, well, basically what happens is the band just kind of writes, they put it together, and then when it's kind of ready to go, because Adam, for the most part, writes probably, I would say, 85-90% of the lyrics. So when the music is done, he has the lyrics, he knows where things are going to be placed. He'll maybe shoot himself on a video and send it to me, just so I kind of have an idea, or we'll just plan a day or a weekend that I'll go up and we'll start rehearsing.
Definitely. All right, Chris, hang on just a second here. We're going to take a real quick break. We're going to come back.
Hey guys, Wrestling Steve of the Wrestling Steve Show here. So if you're currently listening to the Metal Forge with Mark Jackson, then you understand that Mark Jackson has a pretty discerning taste when it comes to music as a whole. You'll also understand that he has a discerning taste for professional wrestling, just like me. My show is called The Wrestling Steve Show. I talk about modern and classic pro wrestling in a completely unbiased, unfiltered way. Be sure to check me out on all available podcasting platforms. That is The Wrestling Steve Show. And I am the host, Wrestling Steve. Just remember, like Confucius said, man who goes through turnstile in Thailand is going to Bangkok. Pro wrestling.
The recording process with you guys. Now, do you all still go to the actual studio, or do you record this at a home studio of one of the other members?
So I am pretty lucky with Blood Feast. We rehearse in CJ's studio, kind of, Earthquake Studios. So what happened, or the Chateau Bow Wow. What happens is where we rehearse, he has a control room in another room. So nice. We're literally recording in our practice spot. So it is just one and the same. Because CJ does all the engineering, he does all the mixing, and then, of course, we'll send it off to Hell's Headbangers to get mastered. But CJ does everything in-house, which is super nice, because especially if there comes a time where I'm going up in 2 weeks to do vocals. So let's just say that I'm just not having a great day, and we're not losing anything but time. You know what I mean? Like, me and CJ just look at each other and go, you know what? It didn't work out. We'll do it next week. And I have that comfort because we're not spending, hundreds of dollars an hour pressed for time. The only thing we're pressed on time is we're just trying to get it done to get it out. But we don't have to worry about the things that a lot of bands going in studios have to worry about. So we're really lucky that way, that our practice place is really our recording studio.
Definitely. And that's become more of a thing, over the last 20 years, where there's been so many bands get into the home market. And I think it's really kind of hit the studio life a little bit, where studios aren't really profiting as much.
It is, man. And especially in times of COVID, when the lockdown first happened, you saw a wave of musicians putting out things because everybody was recording from home. I mean, I was part of it was a project called Here and Now, and it benefited first responders. I did my vocals in my basement. I downloaded a program on my computer, and I just sang in my basement and turned in the vocals. And in this day and age, man, that's how it is. Now, me personally, I'm not a big fan of that, because I would rather be in a studio when I have a guy in a control booth that goes, Chris, we're going to do this, we're going to try this, we're going to do this. But for your guitar players, drummers, bass players, keyboardists, and there are some singers, and rock on if that's what you can get done. But that's what happened, man. When the lockdown happened and nobody could do anything, everybody kept, like you said, putting out content and keeping their name out there. And I think it's a great thing. I mean, it sucks for studios, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything. I mean, I think studios will always be around, because there are just some people that are just so good at what they do that I don't know if you could go anywhere else, because there's so many great studios out there, so many great engineers, so many great producers.
Oh, very much. And then just jumping from one level to the next at that point. being able to work with people like Cameron Webb or just people like that in general. There has to be a cutoff. The whole digital versus recording analog and stuff like that, that's a big debate as well. So
yeah, and that's the one thing about recording with CJ too. Like we use real drum sounds. It doesn't sound digital to me, because there are some records that I hear and I go, my God, the quality and the production is so crisp and clean, but it sounds too digital. With us, with Blood Feast, like we try to keep the old school attitude with the old school sound. I mean,
definitely.
I like to hear that demo. I mean, obviously I want it to be crystal clear and everything good, but there's got to be some rawness to it. I mean, that's what Thrash is all about. It's what Blood Feast is all about.
Yeah, for sure. You have to have that, that real quality sound to it, because for one, with a band like Blood Feast, who's been around for over 30 years at this point, you've got to have some bit of continuity between what was originally done and what the new era for you guys has become. Yeah,
because it's very important to me. I mean, it's all of us, obviously, but to me, it's real important that the Blood Feast fans, the people that have been with us forever, I want them to be able to, what they expect. I want them to be able to put on the record and go, this is exactly what I was expecting the sound-wise, because CJ, I'll tell you, sometimes I could be a mixing nightmare. Like, he'll send me a file and go, how's the sound? I'm like, nope, snare needs to come up. Like, we need to change this. It's just what I hear, because I know what I like to hear as a fan of Blood Feast and of thrash metal. And I want to incorporate that into what we do. And, knock on wood, it's worked so far. So I'm happy, but CJ's not happy about it, but I'm happy about it.
Definitely. On the live aspect here, you had to answer 3 questions. Did you want to audition for Blood Feast? Did you have a passport? And did you want to play Germany? So speaking of some live stuff here, if you could play any major concert event from days gone past, what would it be?
Days gone past. There's 2, but I will pick one. I would say an Ozfest. I think the first Ozfest.
Oh yeah, like 96 or something like that, or 95.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, that, when the first Ozfest was like Typo Negative, Fear Factory, Pantera, and like Cold Chamber was on the side stage, and they headlined that. Like, the Ozfest, that was just a really cool thing to do. So definitely, Ozfest would have been something that I would have loved to do. Now, my runner-up, not the ass, but I got to get it out. My runner-up would be the US Festival from 1983. I don't know how old you are, Mark. I'm old, but that was, like Priest played and Van Halen, like that turned Van Halen's career around, and Motley Crue played, and like that show I would have loved to do.
Oh yeah,
but the answer to your question would be Ozfest.
Hell yeah, and the US Festival too. Yeah, because the Heavy Metal Day, crazy. Quiet Riot,
so
Van Halen, Scorpions, Priest, Ozzy, Triumph. Oh my gosh, so many fucking awesome bands.
Such a great day.
So many people have actually cited those 2 concerts. So yeah,
really,
yeah. I mean,
awesome.
That and like Monsters of Rock.
that's a good one too. That was a good one, but Ozfest came to my mind first. So
absolutely, I dig both for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have a favorite city or venue you like to perform in?
Wow, I gotta say, in America, or are you talking worldwide?
Worldwide.
Wow. See, now you just made that harder. I really, really, really enjoyed, and now mind you, Blood Feast has been in Germany 4 times, 5 times, and they've been awesome shows. But we played Osaka twice, and Osaka, Japan was just an amazing experience. It was a small venue, sold out. It had been sold out for weeks, months even. There's just something to be said when you're performing in front of a couple hundred people that really don't speak English very well, if at all.
Right.
But they love it. They just were totally into it. I can tell you a quick story. Before we went, when we got there, we get handlers that could speak both English and Japanese in case when we travel throughout the day or whatever. And he said to us, listen, just so you guys know, like, don't be worried if the fans just stand there and, clap, and then that's it, and then it goes silent, because that's their culture. Just don't be shocked by it. She's like, that's cool, no problem. Well, man, I can tell you there was a curtain in front of the stage, and when we got introduced and the curtain rose, that place was a madhouse. And people were stage diving and moshing, and it was intense. To be in a country singing in English where they don't really, where English isn't their, where they speak Japanese predominantly, it was just an amazing experience. So I always say Osaka, Japan was one of those moments, like at the time Joe was our drummer before we got Adam, and like we literally left the stage and we just cried in each other's arms because we were so overwhelmed by the emotion of the show and the people, and it was just an amazing experience. So definitely Osaka, Japan was the city. Can't remember the name of the venue because I don't speak the language. So,
right.
But anybody that listens knows that we played Thrash Fest, True Thrash Fest in Japan, and still know the club.
Hell yeah. See, that's super cool. That's got to be one of those things that's like when Rammstein first came to America, singing in German and people learning the German lyrics to the songs, that's got to be like that deal. Where they sing in another language. Bro,
it is amazing. And the one thing that makes me sad, and I've said this when we've gone to Germany, I've said this when we did Peru, the one thing that makes me sad is when someone is trying to tell you how much that you or your music or your band mean to you, and you can't understand them. And that is the worst feeling for me because I want to hear what they have to say, and I want to understand it, and I want to embrace it, and I know in my head what they're trying to say, but obviously I can't understand it because I don't speak that language, and that is so hard for me because I love to hear what people have to say, and that's one of the hardest things for me when we travel overseas, because I've had the pleasure of telling people who I admire how much I feel about them, and it's an amazing feeling. So if someone's trying to come across to me and tell me how much that my band means to them, or if we got them through a tough time, or, they like a certain song, and they're trying their hardest, and you're just like, you just hug them, because that hugging is obviously the universal language.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's one of the really interesting parts of being able to do that, Pup.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in my personal line of work, I deal face to face with a lot of immigrants. Some of them don't speak English very well, if at all.
Oh.
And when you're trying to help them in a situation that it's very hard, because you just kind of feel bad. I get you on that.
Yeah.
And I have to sit there.
Man. Heartbreaking.
Luckily enough, on the new iPhones, they put the translate feature where you can just talk into it and select it, and it says it back. So that's such a lifesaver on stuff like that. So, yeah, I definitely get it. You said you were recording some new stuff. Mm-hmm. Is there a target date we're trying to get this year for that? Can I pry that out of you?
Sure. We don't have a date because we have to turn in the Hell's Headbangers, and then they kind of have to figure out how long it's going to take them to produce it. Master it, get the artwork done. But I could tell you, music is done. Everybody's done. I have to go in and do my vocals, and once that starts, we'll be able to bang that out in a couple weeks. So I am going to say, you can quote me on this, because now I'll put a time limit on it, so now we got to work harder. I will say, what are we in, February?
Yep, this is February the 27th.
Okay, so I would say recording, mixing, I would say hopefully we'll have a release date announced by fall of this year.
Awesome. And of course, I'm sure with everything, with the resurgence of vinyl, you're going to have vinyl copies. You're going to have CD, digital, and cassette. I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah,
especially dealing with
Hell's Headbanger Specialty.
Yeah, Hell's Headbanger Specialty with the cassette, the limited edition cassettes, and stuff like that. And, and just that's so cool to me. Like the resurgence of some of these, like, don't want to say necessarily dead technologies like vinyl and cassette that have come back in the last 6 or 7 years.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. I would never expect that I'd still be buying vinyl today.
And vinyl at like an amazing... Oh, absolutely, yeah. And an amazing quality product of vinyl.
Yeah, that is for sure.
All right, so I'm going to switch gears here really fast,
Okay.
Let's go into personal stuff here about you. These are some general profile questions about Chris here. What makes Chris tick? Because as the pandemic has beat into us over the last year, we're all in this together and we're all people. I really am looking forward to a time where I don't have to say that. We're all in this together. If
but
anybody...
we are, man. Like life, we're all in this together. It's life. But life just has us all together.
Yeah,
that's right. We need each other to get through.
Definitely. What's your favorite film?
My favorite film, I would say my favorite film is Night of the Living Dead, the original.
Ooh, yeah. So was that 66?
Yeah, I think so.
I believe it's 66.
Something like that. 66,
Hell yeah. You don't like the when they did it in color.
No. You know what, bro? I love the color. I am definitely I'm a huge movie fanatic. So reboots, that doesn't bother me. As long as I'm entertained, I don't care. But when I first saw that as a kid, I don't know, it just it was just so, because the movie's not about zombies. It's about, the human culture, the nature of how humans react with each other and, how they get through, crazy situations. So I don't know. There was something about that movie that I was really, really attracted to. And of course, zombies are, the coolest thing ever. So
definitely.
For me, Night of the Living Dead.
What's your favorite color?
Black, of course.
I should really take that question out because it's.
I'm a metalhead, man. Black. But you know what? I can go blue. I could go blue.
Definitely. Well, no,
black,
you guys.
Black is.
Yeah, because if you look at the album artwork here, you all have got quite a bit of blues on the album artwork as well.
Yeah. I think black and blues are so killer together. Black and pinks and black and purples, I think, are great colors together.
Hey, I think we're gonna do that on my next 7-inch release as a black and purple splatter.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, black and purple. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. All right, I know we just started this, but I'm going to take a real quick break. We're going to come back with some more Chris Natalini from Blood Feast here at the Metal Forge. Since 1973, Tattoo Charlie's has been an established body modification studio in Kentucky, featuring world-renowned artists and piercers, currently with locations on Preston Highway and in Lexington, a staple point in the tattoo community. Learn more at TattooCharlies.com. Set up your appointment today at 7904 Preston Highway. Our tattoos are done while you wait.
Hey, it's Mark Maxwell at Maxwell's House of Music. Listen, all this stuff is now available to purchase on our website. Check it out at maxwellshouseofmusic.com.
We carry all the top brands, like Fender.
We got Gibson.
We also have basses.
We've got ukuleles.
We got drums.
We've got sound gear.
We've got keyboards.
Who would be a dream musician you would either want to meet or work with? That's kind of a twofer, because just because you want to meet somebody doesn't mean you want to work with them.
Yeah, that is correct. So I would say, my favorite singer, I don't know if that's one of your questions, but my favorite singer of all time is David Lee Roth. But a true blue hero of mine is Zetro from Exodus.
Oh, yeah.
So I would say Zetro. I think that I would love to meet. Now, I met him a long time ago when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. Super nice, super great dude, changed my life. But I would love to work with him because I love his voice. I think he is one of the coolest human beings. He is the epitome of a metalhead. Loves it all, doesn't matter, and is just as big as a guy, as a star he is just as big as a fan. And I think that's so cool, that kind of like Rob Halford, where they're music lovers, they love metal, but they're also a huge fan of it. And there's something I really dig that about Zetro a lot.
Oh, definitely. And his new his show on YouTube and I believe it's a podcast also, where he's just interviewing some pretty cool fucking people on there. Like one of the guys is
they're just his friends. Like they're just sitting around bullshit. And I think that's killer.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to him if he's ever heard the show. So Zetro kicks ass, I mean, if there was anybody to have ever replaced Bailoff, it would have been Zetro. So
100%. 100%. And that's another thing too that I like about Zetro. He doesn't shy away from, he has no issues with doing Duke's era of Excess or Bailoff. He doesn't have those issues. And that just shows you that doesn't have an ego. He understands the X's catalog. He understands what the fans want to hear, and he's okay with it. And that, obviously being a singer where I replace a pretty unique singer, that means even more to me that, he would do the same thing as, him and I think the same thing that way.
Oh, very much, because there's so many bands out there that will replace singers, for example, and rightfully so to a degree. Rob will not do any of Ripper Owens' songs.
Right.
You know.
Well, and Belladonna won't do any John Bush era Anthrax, and some of the John Bush era Anthrax is amazing.
Oh, right. Absolutely. Because it's different Anthrax. That's the thing.
It is way different, but you can't let that catalog just die. I mean, they're great songs.
Oh, definitely. Which I was, interestingly enough, the last tour I saw Maiden on in 2019, they actually did Bailey songs.
Oh, see, yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is like, they played the Klansmen, and I was like, this is fucking interesting, to see Bruce do Blaze songs.
Sure.
That's so fucking cool.
Sure.
So yeah, that was definitely an interesting thing. What was the first concert you ever went to?
Rick Springfield.
Yeah.
The Living in Oz tour. Me and my best friend Bob went. His uncle took us, and that was my first concert. So
if I were to ask, what year would that be? I'm going to date you.
You know what, brother? You know what? Let me see.
Because if it's like 91, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? No.
83.
Right on. Not.
Yeah.
So yeah, you weren't well into adulthood when you went to. I was a teenager. And then, just going to that concert just obviously opened up a whole new, door. Cause I was like, cause my best friend is you. I mean, I like Rick Springfield too. He's a great songwriter, but my best friend he's a really big Rick Springfield fan. And so we went together, and I was like, man, this is the greatest thing ever. Definitely. Which, is, seeing bands live. That's where it's at. Oh,
yeah, for sure.
The studio is what it is. Live is the other picture. That's where we make our meat and potatoes. Or the bones are live for sure.
Yep, exactly.
So, what's the worst advice you've ever received?
You need a plan B.
Right.
No. The worst advice I've ever received. Don't do it. It's probably the worst advice that I've ever gotten. Don't do it. I mean, listen, when I was 13 going to see Rick Springfield, and my dreams of becoming a rock star, led me to here. And obviously I didn't become the big rock star that I wanted to. And then when I say big rock star, I mean, in terms of like,
Metallica, playing huge arena shows.
Right, exactly. But if when I got that advice, don't do it, and I took that advice, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here on the phone with you. I wouldn't be traveling the world. And, obviously it's not Metallica status. I have a full-time job. I have a wife. I have a house. I have adult responsibilities, but, I'm super blessed at what I've gotten to do. And I've gotten to do some really, really killer things.
Well, yeah. I mean, fuck, you played fucking Japan, dude.
Oh, bro, listen, man. We've been, like I said, we've been to Peru, we've been to Germany 4 or 5 times, we've been to Japan twice, and that's just overseas. We've been, to California, we've been, Chicago, we've been to a ton of places, met amazing people, and I've gotten to meet a ton of bands that I admired when I was a teenager, like Hyrax and Nasty Savage and At War and Attacker. Like, these are the guys that I spent my life looking up to, and here I am sharing not only the stage, but like I'm sharing a dressing room. Like, when we went to Tampa, we played with Nancy Savage. Like, I'm in Dave Austin's house, the guitar player for Nancy Savage, and I'm in the dressing room talking to Nasty Ronnie, and we weren't talking music. We were talking wrestling, and we were talking about our lives and his kids and his motorcycle shop. And I'm thinking, like, the whole time I'm like, I can't believe I'm talking to Nasty Ronnie. If you would have told teenage Chris that one day you'd be hanging out with Nasty Ronnie, I would have told you you're crazy. And, when we were in Japan, I said we were with the original 3 members of Exciter. And I'm on a train sitting next to Dan, the drummer and singer. And I said, dude, if you would have told teenage Chris that one day I'd be sitting here with you in Japan, I'd have told you you're fucking out of your mind. There's no way. And here we are. We were all hanging out. And that alone is just something so, like, I can't even begin to describe those feelings, meeting those people and hanging out with them. And they're friends. They're, they're peers. And these are the guys I looked up to. And so that being that worst advice, if I would have taken it, I would have missed out on a whole life of amazing memories and meeting a lot of great people.
Definitely. That's super cool. This is one takeaway I'm going to take from that really fast. Is you said you were talking wrestling with Ronnie. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Shawn Michaels.
Ah, I get it. I mean,
who's yours?
Honestly, I'm a Bret Hart fan.
I know that. No, listen, bro. I respect that because it's funny when I said I almost said when we were talking about colors, I said pink and black, and I almost
Bret Hart
to the Hart Foundation, and I did. And I'm not a big Bret Hart fan, but I totally respect what he's done. He's amazing. But Shawn Michaels was my total favorite. I mean, I obviously grew up watching NWA and all those people, but of course, the Attitude Era of WWF.
Oh yeah, it's nothing like
greatest times in wrestling. So Shawn Michaels was that guy.
For sure. Oh yeah, he definitely was. I'll never forget the first WrestleMania I bought on pay-per-view was 12. And,
oh, absolutely.
And when that one match alone, everything else, like the Piper Goldust thing was great in its own right, but like that Iron Man match, fucking classic.
Oh, you can't beat it, man. You can't. It is a classic among classics. One of the top 10 greatest wrestling matches ever.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. What is something you've always wanted to do, but you're not coordinated enough to do?
Play guitar. I can play this. And listen, you ask any of my closest friends and bandmates, they'll tell you I play a great air guitar, but guitar, I can't do, man. I don't have the patience. When I was a kid, my parents bought me an acoustic guitar. They told me that I had lessons for like a month or two, but I didn't want to play. I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen like tomorrow. So I didn't have the patience to learn it. And I'm not that coordinated. I'm not. But guitar is something I always wanted to do.
Definitely. I can understand that because, hey, we always have that thing that is so alluring, but we're not able to do it. I like the idea of hiking, for example, but like when I get into the woods and I'm just walking around, I feel like I have two left feet. Like I don't want to step on something and like slip and fall. so I want to, even if I would, I don't want to say, I want to save myself the embarrassment, I guess, even if nobody was around. For sure.
That's awesome. I love it.
What's one thing you change about yourself?
One thing I change about myself. I worry too much. I worry because you're doing a music podcast. Musically, I worry too much at shows. Are we on the same page? Are we going to be good tonight? What's the crowd going to be like? Is the sound going to be okay? Instead of just going, listen, we're here, we're going to play, we're going to have a good time. It is what it is. Like, if 10 people are there, then 10 people are there. If there's 1,000 people, then that's great too. You know what I mean? Like, I just I worry so much about things that I can't control. That is my biggest downfall, because sometimes I'm not in the moment. I'm too busy thinking about, am I going to hit this note? Am I going to forget this part? Or, oh my God, the verse is coming up and I can't remember the first line, or because I'm so focused on just worrying so much about everything instead of just enjoying being in the moment.
Definitely. So do you still get nervous before playing shows?
I do. I definitely do. And of course it's the old, you've heard it a million times where somebody goes, the day I'm not nervous is the day I quit. And that is really a true statement. Whether it's the small shows or the big shows. Nervous because I worry too much, could be. Nervous because I'm just excited, and I just love being on stage. I love being with my bandmates. I love entertaining. So yeah, I still get nervous. Yeah, to this day, whether it's a small club in New York or whether we're in Germany in front of 3,000 people.
Definitely, I feel you, brother, on that one, 100%. Who do you wish you never saw live?
Who do I wish I never saw live? The Black Crowes.
Yes.
and listen, I'm not a fan. Like I went with a couple friends of mine back in the day. They opened up for Heart. They were so bad. Like they were boring. They're I don't want to offend any Black Crowes fans. I'm not a fan. I respect what they do, of course. Super talented.
Right.
But I'm like, this is the worst shit I have ever seen. They were so boring. They brought nothing to the table. God awful.
Well, to me, it's one of those things, too. They're almost like, yeah, I know they had a song that was a hit of their own, but I think, the idea of a band that has a cover song as their first major hit, it kind of puts a stigma on the band there for a while, I think.
Yeah.
And I know they've done great things since then, but for sure, they're one of those bands that I immediately turn the station on. It's like I will not actively listen to that band. Just like the band live.
Right. Exactly.
We don't have a new rock station here in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, we've got nothing but classic rock stations and pop stations, I guess you could say, in country.
Yeah.
But when the Black Crowes and Live come on the radio and I'm listening to it, immediately change it. Or if I'm in a grocery store, I will leave the store and wait for like 5 minutes and go back in so I don't have to hear it. It's just, I know that's like weird as shit, but hey, when you've heard Lightning Crashes 9,000 times, I can't take it anymore.
I can see that.
Who do you lean on outside of the band for an objective opinion?
I have a couple people in my life that will be 100% honest and without the risk of hurting my feelings. So obviously my wife is, sometimes I'll get off stage and she'll go, I'll go, what'd you think? And she'll go, well, I heard you were out of breath here or whatever. I have two friends. I have my friend F6, who's a guitar player. That is right. F as in the note F6 guitar player.
Okay.
And then my buddy, Rich Olson. Both of them are super honest and they'll be honest with me and they'll tell me, they'll be like, yeah, I'm not crazy about this song and, this could be better and that's okay. Like they're friends and that's true. I'd rather have someone tell me their honest opinion than yes me to death because, and I don't get offended. It is what it is. We're not perfect. Music, as you know, is objectionable. Everybody, just because you like something doesn't mean I like it, but it doesn't mean it's not good. You know what I mean? Some people like jelly, some people like peanut butter, some people don't like them together. And that's okay. So those three people are people that tell me 100% honest that, they're not into it or they like it or, or they love it or whatever.
For sure. This is spawned from the TikTok era here. What is your most unpopular music opinion?
Oh, this is going to get me in trouble.
Everybody says that.
My most unpopular, I can't even say it out loud. I am a fan of Nickelback.
All right. No, I'm kidding.
I can even tell your reaction. I think that Nickelback let me explain myself. I think Nickelback gets harped on because it's a cool thing to do. Again, music is objectionable. Some people like it, some people don't.
No.
But if you listen to some of their songs, they got some heavy riffs going on. And I'm not saying that every song is great. Some of their songs are hokey and god awful. But some of their heavier stuff is really good. Like they have a song called Side of a Bullet that they wrote about Dimebag, and they actually got there's a lead in the song that they got from Vinny that Dime never used, so they put it in the song. And I know when they play it live, they have a big video screen of Dimebag behind them. Like, some of their stuff is like, you listen to some of the riffs, some of the stuff is pretty heavy. So I will say Nickelback, and I will stand by that statement as much hate as I'm sure I'll get.
No, I can definitely understand what you're going with there because it's definitely a band that you're right. They do get harped on because of who they are. And granted, some of Chad Kroger's antics over the last 10 or so years have been a little crazy when it comes to, addressing the crowd and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, like, I've seen them live. I went to a show and it was the craziest fucking lineup ever. It was sponsored by Jim Beam years and years ago. I think Silver Side Up had just came out.
Oh, okay.
And, it was sponsored by Jim Beam, and it was Filter, Hank the Third, Nickelback, and Montgomery Gentry. So,
wow, seriously?
Yes, super
if
weird.
that came to Philly, I'd have gone and seen that show.
Yeah, I mean, not really a fan of like Hank the Third, but like, Filter. That was the reason we were going to the show, was Filter.
Oh, okay.
And
so you're a Filter fan, or the person you went with was?
Both are Filter fans.
Okay.
So, and then just, they were playing. So it's like, well, this was before all of the hate started on them. So we went to see them. Hey, they put on a good show, not going to lie. And yeah, you're right. I think they have some stuff that they write that is just different. I like to hear cultural difference things when people write, like calling something a Chesterfield, which is a couch if nobody knows, like in the song Good Times Gone. So yeah, I totally get you here. What
cool.
out?
Well, thanks. Yeah. So we're both going down.
Yeah, we're both.
We'll go down together.
Yeah. Hey, Bond said it the best with Shot Down in Flames, right? No.
Exactly, right?
For sure. What album is an entire playthrough for you?
Oh, that's so easy. Exodus, Pleasures of the Flesh.
Yes. I'm really picking up a hint here that you're a huge Exodus fan.
Oh, brother. Well, listen to my vocals. I will not shy away to tell you that I rip off Zetro like nobody's business. And I am proud of it.
And see, I'm the same way with like Paul. I'm like, yeah.
Listen, man. I mean, I can't help it. Zetro's a huge influence, and that when I sing, it's just it's Zetro is the Exodus I grew up on, and that's just what kind of comes out. And
absolutely.
I definitely would never hide it.
Oh, definitely not. They're super, super awesome guys. My band opened up for them on the Human Condition tour.
Oh, nice.
And when they came through Louisville, and super fucking cool dudes. Gary was just like, so what are some cool haunted places around here to go to? And, we're telling them and shit like that.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Super fucking cool dude, and
that's amazing.
I'm glad that he got the gig with Slayer and everything. He's irreplaceable, obviously, but if they needed somebody to replace Jeff, he was definitely the right pick, I think.
Oh, for 100%, brother. 100%.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to finish this out. We're going to jam some fucking Blood Feast, and we're going to have a kick-ass rest of our fucking day.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Metal Forge this week. I really appreciate every last one of you that listens. But before I go any further, I do want to tell you that we do have a Patreon page here, and there's 3 tiers. There's the Down and Dirty $1 tier. It's just $1. Hey, you're not going to miss $1. Nobody does. Then there's the $5 Showstoppers tier, which you get a patch, stickers, whatever we have that's in that price range. And then there's the $20 a month Master, where you can get a t-shirt, any size, any color of the Metal Forge logo. Fuck yeah, that's awesome stuff. Oh, and by the way, if you donate on there, guess what? You get the show 2 days in advance from everybody else. Thank you all so much. It's patreon.com/metalforgeradio. Check it out and donate today. I love you guys. Thank you. What album changed your life?
Metallica's Kill 'Em All.
Definitely.
That was the first album that really kind of introduced me to what became thrash metal. Now, obviously, there were some albums before that, and I've gone back. But when, at that age, because I was at that age, I was listening to, Priest, I was listening to Van Halen, I was listening to Kiss, that was kind of what I was into. And then I saw the Kill 'Em All cover, and then I heard it, and I'm like, man, it just the opening riff of Hit the Lights, and I was just like, wow, what is this? And then, it just kind of thrash metal has been in my blood ever since.
Well, I agree with you, because you said you were listening to people like Priest and Kit and these bands, and the bands that Metallica drew their influence from, like Priest and Diamond Head and
right.
Tigers of Pantang and all these bands, that I think they had like a kind of a retro influence on a lot of these bands.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. Yeah,
because
definitely.
when you think about after, Metallica really got noticed with Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning, a lot of these other bands, the Judas Priests and Diamond Heads and things like that, they ended up getting heavier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. 100%.
Just as much as, Black Sabbath was the turning point for heavy music in the generation before.
Yeah, definitely, man. That is absolutely true.
Super cool on that. All right, before we get to the last question, do you have any shout-outs you want to give to anybody?
To all the Blood Feast fans, to all the Blood Feast legions who have been with us from the early 80s to now, thank you. And hopefully we will thrash with all of you soon.
Hell yeah. And as always, in the description below, you will find links to Blood Feast, to their official stores, to follow them on Instagram and Facebook, along with all of the episodes of the Metal Forge in the archives.
Hell yeah.
Final question here. What advice would you impart to somebody young getting into the music business?
Work hard. Practice your craft, because there's always somebody better than you. And once you have that in the back of your mind, your ego will always be in check. Work hard, be honest, stay true to yourself.
Definitely. No truer words have ever been spoken. And I agree with you 100% on that, because you're right. There's always going to be a faster gun, as they say.
Absolutely. Listen, man, I've seen many of better singers that could be in the spot that I'm in. And, I know that. And I think that it's important that you realize that when you're not when there's always somebody better than you, it just keeps you in check. It keeps that ego down, because that, if you mess up or you cause issues, you're out. Somebody else is going to be in your gig, and, they're going to be better. So keeping yourself in check, I think it's really important. I think egos kill bands. We've seen it a million times, and we'll always see it throughout the history of music. And we've seen it before, and it's you have to keep them in check. You have to keep your ego in check, and you have to work hard.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you so much for coming onto the show this week. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the new release, as well as, obviously, listening to the past catalog, because it's fucking killer shit, as, fuck. So,
well, my brother, thank you for having me. It is a pleasure, and I am flattered and honored that you would ask me, and it was really, really great talking to you. I really appreciate the time.
Definitely. And always looking forward to new stuff here. So pulling back the curtain here just a little bit for the listeners, I messaged you on Instagram about getting this interview. And it was because I'm doing a kind of a metal curation deal in a record store here in Louisville, Kentucky. And I had featured Chopped, Sliced, and Diced, limited to 666 black vinyl copies. And you had put on there, thanks for the support and all that, and we thank you as well. So, off of Chopped, Sliced, and Diced, what do you want me to play out today?
Oh, I want you to play Dark Side.
All right. Thank you again, Chris Natalini from Blood Feast. This is Dark Side. Hey, are y'all in a band? Do you need merch for shows? By now I'm sure you've seen all the Metal Forge patches that are available, along with many more. Well, the printer I use for those is UKR Patcher. Check them out on Facebook and Etsy. They do awesome custom work and for extremely affordable prices for any band budget. Check them out, UKR Patcher on Facebook and Etsy.